All right, all right. It's a little loud in here, but I think my audio should hold out. And I want to, this is as good a place as any. I'm feeling inspired and I just got to roll with it. So, this is part of the manifestation training 2.0. And this is specifically around timeline hopping, which is really fun science. And it's going to bring together kind of how we're activating our symbols and really setting this piece of our brain called the reticular activating system on a loop so that when we see those symbols, it's like a direct communication to our subconscious to start to ignite those feelings that we are actually calling into be right now to attract in what we're manifesting. So this is going to be the next phase in that. So now we want to start to cultivate the exact timeline that we're choosing for ourselves. So we're first creating the feelings and then deciding like, well, what is the timeline going to be? So for the context of this training, I'm going to define a couple of words that I'm going to use over and over again. So what do I mean when I say the word timeline? It's one possible reality of the infinite potential possibilities, probabilities that are out there in the universe, right? So none of us can predict the future. So we then can see that there are an infinite number of different futures that could possibly happen. The question is, are you choosing one that supports you, that serves you, that makes you feel awesome, or are you choosing to play out a worst case scenario? Let's just drop right in with that, right? So when you go into meditation, you can literally see the timeline that you want to live in now. And you feel into that vibration, that field. And those are two more words I'm going to define right now. So when I say the word field, it's just another word for vision, right? What is the vision you're calling in? What field are you creating in your mind? Are you painting, right? Vibration is simply the frequency of your feelings, the frequency of the field. Everything has a vibration because everything is energy. Everything from life forms to inanimate objects to visualization, everything has a certain energy which emits a certain frequency. We're trying to match our feelings with the vibration of the field that we're calling in, the vision that we're calling in. Transmute simply means to shift frequencies, and typically we mean from a darker frequency, a lower frequency, to a lighter frequency, right? A higher speed. And we just want to match. So we want to transmute from where we are, which might be a very low vibration if we're living in fear or lack or scarcity, to a higher vibration of abundance, possibility, curiosity, wonderment, love, creation. So timeline hopping. Let's get right into it. Always being able to see that there are literally infinite possible timelines available. So being in the vibrational field that you want to connect to means how you're feeling right now. Does it match how you're going to feel when you call that vision in? And so now you have your reticular activating system on high alert, looking for those symbols that immediately go to your subconscious like, oh, I see the sun, and I know that that is the symbol for me to feel powerful. Oh, and right now in this moment, do I feel powerful? No? Okay, well, what could I choose to feel that way right now? And you just step into that feeling. It's always a choice. How you feel is always a choice based on what you're thinking at that time. So we're creating this world around us that supports us in feeling what we want to feel so we can pull in the timeline that we choose. Because either way, you're manifesting. You're either manifesting by default or you're manifesting by rehearsal, right? By strategically and purposefully rehearsing the future that you want, calling it a now, or just by default, by worrying and letting your thoughts spin you around the drain. So once you can shift into seeing that all possibilities are true, it just really depends on what we believe, then what is the new timeline? Identify now what experience you want to be having. Right? So if you want to pause this and take a minute and just let your pen free flow, right? And then how do you want, and most importantly really, is like, how do you want to feel? Like, how do you want that vision to feel? when you think about what it looks like and get into fine detail here. Okay? The next step here in timeline hopping is how you get to shift your vibration to match that. So even if like I'm just sitting here right now, I know I want to be living in a space of unconditional love where I have like the most coolest, epic relationships full of abundance everywhere. How can I feel that unconditional love right now in this moment? Whatever emotion I want is what I get to give out, right? That's how you do it. So if you want to call in that feeling of abundance, if you want to call in that feeling of love, that feeling of like just unconditional love, how are you actually giving an epic relationship to yourself right now? Right? Are you stepping into, am I whole and complete with myself? Do I feel abundant with myself? Do I feel abundant in how I'm acting right now? Powerful. Number 3 is going into what I call like it's like a daily discipline of really being able to look at, I'm going to get into this in a little bit more detail in a second, looking at what you're feeling on a moment to moment basis and just processing that and saying, is that how I really want to feel? And if it's not, then what do you get to do to change it? Because it is essentially up to you at all times, right? So we're going to take a look at that. Like, how many times a day can you look around? Let's say you're calling in abundance. How many times a day can you look around and see so much abundance everywhere? The plants, support from loved ones, all the stuff that is around that is available to you. Generosity. How much can you give? And not from a place of giving so you could be a martyr so that you can, take care of everybody else, but not yourself. But generosity, giving without expectation to receive. Right? How can you just simply go out and give help to somebody, create value for someone? How can you give out your abundance, give out your services, give love out, right? I do this daily practice every day of my life, wherever I am, Starbucks, or I'm actually here in Athleta. I'm about to do some after Christmas exchanging, and I make sure that I look at people, like maybe the person behind the register, and in my mind, I just say, I'm sending you love. I love you. And I look them straight in the eye. I'm saying it in my head. I'm not saying it out loud, but I'm saying it in my head because it's a way that I can feel abundant in giving my love to other people. So it's just checking in and saying, am I now doing those practices that hold the frequency, right? And that vibration that attracts to the field I want to call in, which is abundance. It's straight science and it's super fun. You get to look at everything, right? We can really drill this down to, the things that you're wearing, the things that you're focusing on, what you're singing, what you're chanting in your head. Are they all in alignment with the highest vibrational frequency of the field that you want to be living in? Because that is what will show up for you. So what are the ways that you can express that? To timeline hop into your new reality, what are the ways you can be that now in terms of your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings, and your behaviors? And we're going to get into that in another portion of this training, a part 2 to this. So if you, for example, are choosing that you want to align with like the most beautiful, epic relationships with the most divine, beautiful beings, that constantly operate out of a place of abundance and flow and peace and harmony, there might be some things that you need to clear in order to receive that. So what might show up is somebody being an asshole, right? And when you respond with like harshness, or you deflect it, or you hide from the asshole, like, oh, I don't want to be, I don't want to be in a confrontation with this person, then it'll keep showing up for you because it is there for you to heal and to love. so that you can respond to it at a frequency with the new belief, pattern, and behavior, right? So if you want to have nothing but epic relationships, then how do you give that off? If somebody's being an asshole, you can show up and be like, wow, I'm so grateful. Like, thank you, my friend. Actually see them as like the little girl or boy that's locked in pain, right? And that showed up scared in this situation. And it's actually a help, right? Because they showed up kind of in the sacred contract with you to give you this message that you needed to receive so that you can give love to it, heal it, and then take radical responsibility for like, oh, do I own the quality of being an ass sometimes? But I really want to receive epic relationships. So, okay, well, I can respond to this person with love, with respect, with being grateful, and knowing I only attract the very best and give my energy and attention to the people who are those divine beings of light and love that. Guess what? You become focused on that. If you're focused on the light beings, then eventually the asses, they're still there. It's just you're not focused on them. They're not in your aura because you've healed that piece of yourself. So the shift is that as you continually check in and like catch yourself in a pattern or a behavior or a story that isn't of the frequency or vibration that you want to live in, right? If you want to live in the field of abundance and being fully supported and like calling in those luxury codes, right? Living in a tropical villa or a resort where there's no such thing as scarcity. And it doesn't matter what your money situation is, it will drop right into your timeline to support you, right? I think about that personally a lot. Like, okay, I'd love to be on a resort. So what does that look like? Okay, and I'd love to have like all the amenities, but I'd also love to be kind of off the grid and in nature and seeing the palm trees and the 360-degree views of expansive horizons so that I can feel expansive in my mind. I'd love to have access to the gym and, a nice food, healthy food if I want something, but still feel the nature all around me. So again, the universe, right? If I'm like, wow, the universe is showing up to support me at all times, living in this abundance, in love, and I see everything out of love from the universe, then I'm operating at that frequency rather than, oh my God, everything's going to run out. I don't have enough time to get everything done. I have all these tasks. It's all on me. I have no support. Oh my God, my money's going to run out. My bank account isn't where I want it to be. You perpetuate that lower vibration, and that's just simply calling in more of that because you're cut off from the possibilities of seeing. Doesn't matter how. I know that I'm choosing this timeline of this tropical resort. I'm choosing this timeline. And when I'm in that tropical resort, I feel warm. I feel creative. I feel focused. I feel powerful. I feel loving and abundant. I'm going to feel those now. I'm going to put that out. I'm going to operate in that frequency. And every time I feel myself dipping, now I have a gauge. So every single moment, where is my vibration at right now, right? And then you get to say, oh, interesting. And then what action am I about to take, right? Like the pattern, the behavior, does that match what I say I want? You may say, I want an epic relationship, but you're over here focused on the asshole and feeling really tight and bad and sorry for yourself and wallowing and stressed and trying to figure out what the other person is doing and trying to figure out, well, if I say this, then maybe they'll say that, and trying to control the outcomes, right? How does that make you feel? Tired, bloated, exhausted, hungry, angry? What? And are any of those feelings the feelings that you're calling in of possibly powerful, abundant, happy, loving, flow, creative? Do you see how we get to play with this? And it's all just a fun game. And it's all just in light and love because this is what we're here to experience. So you're showing up in the perfect moment. None of this is about criticizing yourself either. This is showing up perfectly for you so that you can then choose whether or not you want to transmute that into a lighter, frequency. So you can actually start calling in the life that you want. And that's nothing lights me up more than that, like the possibilities. But I live this every day too, right? Those thoughts come in and we keep thinking the same thoughts over and over again because they're familiar. We've created those neural pathways. So give yourself that love and knowing that these habits have been formed. Now you're choosing differently and it may feel a little weird, and that's okay. Uncomfortable is just a sign that you're growing and that you're shifting and that you're transmuting. And it's not all about the daily doing, right? I've separated it out so we can do things in a moment to moment basis. We could do things in the morning, we could do things in the evening. I'm going to share with you a few of my best practices, but it's not like, oh, you have to do everything the way I do it. The goal here is that I'm offering you an opportunity to explore what works well for you, but it all comes back to one sole purpose, which is, do my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors match what I'm manifesting? What timeline I'm calling in? Am I living into that? Am I being that now? Am I sharing that frequency out right now? And if not, cool. Well, what do I get to go in and take a look at? Sometimes you're going to want to go deep and see like, wow, where did that thought come from? Is that even mine? And go in and heal around that and explore it and be with it. If it's a deep one, if it has a powerful neural connection for you, if it resides low into your root or sacral chakra, where a lot of these may reside, it may require some pulling and investigating and getting curious about. Again, all in fun and all in excitement, all in wonderment and curiosity. Other thoughts may be like, you know what, that thought, that doesn't serve me. Sweet little mind. I used to think that way. I am not my mind. Here's what I believe. And just refute it 3 ways and move on. So, moment to moment, what is the field? What is the vision? What is the timeline you want to hop to? What feelings does it create for you when you envision it? What are the body sensations that you get when you think about that, right? Feel into that right now. Like really, really think about that. What are the things you can do to practice that? What would be the things that would speak to that? What would be expressing that all the time? Now, you may think that I just like conveniently came into a store on Fifth Avenue and like started this video. I did. It was calling me. It was also strategic. I feel creative here. I love window shopping on Fifth Avenue. It makes me feel excited. It makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel focused. It makes me feel warm. And in all of that, I then anticipate. I feel like I know that there's this exceptional future, not just for me, but for the planet. So I can upgrade to that frequency, right? Because I'm looking at everything around me that supports me feeling these things now so that I can create like a powerhouse and help uplift humanity. So what am I putting on my body? What am I putting in my body? What kind of music am I listening to? Who do I choose to be around? Right? Noticing all the things that come into your current reality so you can align to receiving that timeline now. Right? And then energetically clearing your body of what isn't serving it. So you've already done 4 powerful energy clearing exercises in the last training that I gave, and implementing those into a regular routine, perhaps in the morning and perhaps at night. So I know for me, again, I'll share with you what I do at night. These practices are here to help me shift my field. So at night, when I tune into my lucid state, and the lucid state is kind of a blend of consciousness. It's like your body's traveling into that unconscious state, but before it does, and you're starting to drift, you still have some conscious awareness, but you also are aware that you are falling asleep. That's what a lucid dream is. You're actually dreaming, but you're aware that you're having a dream, which is a whole other topic, which I can get into. Super fun. But if you're going to drift into this state for 8 hours, you're going to, whatever you're falling asleep with is what you're going to hold for that length of time, right? So whatever you choose, like for example, if you're having a fight with your body and you walk by the mirror before you go to bed and like, or you're brushing your teeth and you're like, ugh, I look gross. And then you go to bed, you're like literally soaking your body in that negativity all night long. Every cell is like, I feel gross. I feel gross. So let me align for that. Let me show up and support that being true. So at night, you can do an energetic clearing. Is there anything that was said or thought or felt that didn't get to be expressed or heard today? Is there anything that I said or that I felt or I thought that feels stuck for me right now that doesn't align with what I'm calling in? Clearing that, right? The value of clearing yourself before you go to bed. I know it's so powerful. And I know for me, it's like when I feel shitty or when I have a bad day, it's like when I really don't want to do it. And that's when I know that I like, oh yeah, I get to do this. I can choose like to be really good at looking at what is there. Why do I feel shitty? Why do I feel anxious? Why is my heart heavy? Why is my stomach and clear it. So I don't stew in that juice all night. I can practice this like it's a doing, but it's really a being, right? Aligning with the energetic state of what you're calling in. If you don't, you start to notice that too. Like a few nights ago, I was definitely feeling like the heaviness in my chest. I didn't give myself permission to pay attention. I went to bed and I woke up with more of it. No shame, no judgment. Simply like, okay, body, thank you so much for that reminder of how like valuable I am and how important my frequency is and how I get to honor myself every night by doing that, right? The practice only takes minutes and I would be clean and clear and I would have woken up in a better vibrational state. I know I'm going to do that because I know how important I am and I know how much I honor my body. Another thing is you can see the vision. So at night, again, you've cleared yourself energetically. The next step would be I can see the vision of the timeline I'm calling in. Like now that you're cleared, it's like it's so crystal clear and you start to feel into that. You travel into that timeline, you drop yourself in there and you feel it in your body and you play with that. Like, how can I exude that? This is something you can exude because you're going to sleep and letting your cells marinate. It's sitting in your system all night long. So just like the negativity, you're just doing it in the reverse with the positivity. Use your symbols to activate and provoke your desired timeline. So seeing them drop from your ankh into your heart space and matching that vibrational field. And then as you drift, it just ain't that serious. You just falling asleep and you just like smile, like I'm fully supported. I got this. And that's how you get to go to bed, which means guess how you wake up. So another thing you can do, and this is going to go into morning practice, is, but really all day long, I actually have it set on my phone. It's just simply ask all day long. Like I ask for the support and the like of the universe and the highest vibrational light. If I know that energy is all around me, then why not ask to be supported by the lightest frequency? It's all there. We know it's there. So why not just simply own that? Ask for a white stream of light to come through your body and align your chakras, to cleanse and sweep your system anytime you feel like it. What's interesting is your chakras are rainbow in color. And when you combine all the colors of the rainbow, what do you get? White light. Call in from your guardian angel, from source energy, from the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in. But I like to call upon my guardian angel. And you can call upon yours as well, because their guardian angel is kind of like always there, that energy, that connection, right? To source, to spirit, to our soul. Hey, can you just send a channel of white light right in me? and just align my chakras, right? And you just continuously feel lighter practicing that, cleansing, clearing your system all day long. If you know it's available to you and you love yourself enough, then why not ask for that support? Throughout the day. So I am going to stop. I want you to just go back and really start to lean into which timeline you're calling in for yourself and put those daily practices in place. And I'm going to continue with part 2 of this training. So we've done some daily work. We're doing some nighttime work. But again, you can do this anytime you want. It doesn't have to be your exact routine. You get to feel what works for you. And then I'm going to share my morning practices, which I'll just roll through. I'll just roll through them right now. In the morning, and I'm going to send a worksheet with this training, but in the morning, lie in meditation. This is what I do in a sacred space, which for me is just my bed. Super comfortable, but you can create an altar, you can go outside, you can do whatever works for you. And in this space, it's just really about you tapping into your divinity, and you get to surrender here. You get to cry, you get to pray, you get to just give up all of your stuff, right? All the suffering, the thoughts, the old beliefs, the traumas, purge. And then now it's like, okay, can I also surrender my work and my intentions? Like what am I creating today? Allow it to channel through. It's the daily space of you literally creating the highest vibration of the highest divine field. Seeing yourself as valuable, as a divine being, full of love, full of light. Knowing that you actually are a piece of consciousness and can provoke the power of consciousness just by simply saying, I am. So you wake up in the morning like, I am tired. You're cutting off your connection to source, which means you're cutting off your ability to manifest the timeline that you want. You wake up, I am abundant. I am radiant. I am getting more and more radiant every day. And then simply, turn on a guided meditation. So that's what I do. I listen to a 45-minute guided meditation that helps me hear those things and speak those things out. And that's really the side note here. The challenge with manifestation is that we may speak it and not feel it, right? We look for evidence in front of us and say it can't exist till it shows up. So we're waiting for our reality in front of us to change in order for us to feel differently. No. In the morning is where I like to check in and go, okay, I get to feel differently, and then my reality changes. It comes from the frequency of being that now and then calling it in. So in the morning, it's like I'm saying thank you to God, thank you to my angels, thank you for watching over me. And I ask, can you grid my space with purple flame, which is really about like spirit and staying connected to God and consciousness, and knowing that I have that in me, and that each of us has it in us, and how I can shine that out at every corner of the day. So that's part of the morning routine. I'm going to stop here, go through, start to think about, number one, so this is your assignment. What timeline am I choosing? It's really important. Spend time, days, journal on this, pages, go back, get it into detail. We've done this work before, but just really have fun with your pen, your paper. And then I'm going to give you a worksheet, an opportunity sheet, and you're going to have some of these daily practices and morning and nighttime practices, and start to put together what your routine is. And know this, I'll leave you with this. You are so valuable, and you honor yourself. And if that's a sticking point for you, that belief, then we can unpack that further. But step into these practices knowing that you get to do this for yourself. Peace out. Much love.